The teachings of the Gnostic Illuminati, i.e., the Akousmatikoi, have varied somewhat over the centuries. In the time of Pythagoras, the vast majority of people were uneducated, and solid scientific knowledge of the world was extremely limited. Most people's understanding of the world was extremely unsophisticated by modern standards. The early teachings of the Akousmatikoi reflected this lack of sophisticated understanding, and would thus be considered largely unsophisticated and unconvincing today, although they served their purpose quite well in their own time. Among the teachings of the Pythagorean Akousmatikoi were: 1. Everything is related to mathematics. This is fundamentally true, although misapplied by the Akousmatikoi, and represents a point of Akousmatikoi teaching which is firmly based in reality. 2. Numbers are the fundamental reality. 3. Souls are immortal and inhabit mortal physical bodies, and transmigrate to another physical body after the death of its current body. 4. The divine nature of Pythagoras himself. 5. The Tetractys, a mystical interpretation of the numbers 1 through 10 and, in particular, of a shape consisting of 10 dots arranged in a triangular pattern, much like the pins in bowling. 6. Various other teachings which derived from and or contributed to the development of Hermeticism, alchemy, and Gnosticism. As history progressed, so did the teachings of the Akousmatikoi. The spread of Christianity, and the subsequent rise in the political power of the Catholic Church, created an environment where ideas which were openly opposed to Christianity would be resisted, at minimum, and could lead to persecution, torture, or even death. In this environment, the Illuminati began to spread mystical teachings which incorporated Christian beliefs and values on the surface, but which were designed to ultimately lead naturally non-mystical individuals away from Christianity and all other forms of mysticism altogether. Hence, in such an environment, the Akousmatikoi were taught Christian-oriented Gnosticism, rather than the original teachings of the Pythagorean Akousmatikoi. These have proven quite powerful, when dealing with Christians of course, at combating harmful Christian mysticisms. By linking a mystical belief to pre-existing beliefs, mystical or otherwise, the new mystical belief takes on added credibility, i.e., it seems to have more evidential weight. It should also be obvious that what has been said of Christian Gnosticism is equally true of Christian alchemy, Christian Hermeticism, and so on. Furthermore, this is not limited to Christianity. This applies equally well to Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and all other religions, and also to other mystical belief systems such as astrology, the occult, and so on. We now live in a world where science has proven itself as a reliable means for gaining an ever-increasing understanding of reality. Even those who do not understand science itself, cannot deny the power of applied science, i.e., technology, in terms of the unprecedented and ever-increasing technological advances of the last few centuries, technological advances which were made possible only because of humanity's ever-increasing scientific knowledge. This increase in scientific knowledge has occurred in parallel with an increase in the general educational level of humanity, and also a decrease in the general level of mysticism of humanity. The general effect of a religious or mystical orientation, in either an individual or in a society, is a decrease in scientific understanding and interest. After all, if the ultimate answer to the how or why of every question is believed to be God, or some other mystical force, then questioning the how or why of natural phenomena becomes rather pointless and uninteresting. On the other hand, the lack of recourse to some ultimate mystical answer for every phenomena leads to greater curiosity, and therefore to a deeper and more complete knowledge and understanding of reality. It is natural, then, for an increase in scientific knowledge, and reality-based education in general, to be associated with a decrease in mysticism, and vice versa. This does not mean, however, that the general increase in reality-based education and knowledge is actually some sort of perfect, infallible cure for the inherently mystical nature of most humans. It does help mitigate their mystical nature, but cannot be relied upon to remove it entirely. Mysticism is founded, to a large degree, upon mental laziness. Eliminating such laziness in others can sometimes be a nearly, if not completely, impossible task. You can lead a person to knowledge, but you can't make him, or her, think. In order to accommodate both the general increase and availability of scientific, reality-based knowledge, and the persistent mystical nature of most individuals, the teachings of the Gnostic Illuminati must be much more sophisticated, sublime, and complex than in any previous time in history. It must acknowledge and embrace, at least to some degree, the value of science, while still feeding the mystics' need for a supposedly higher, or more pure, level of reality, and mystical or spiritual entities such as souls or gods. Because of the much greater level of religious freedom available throughout so much of the world, and also the anonymity afforded by the Internet, the Gnostic Illuminati is now able to openly declare the invalidity of existing religions, while also spreading its own mystical teachings. To gain a hook into those with a religious bent, it uses its mysticisms to ostensibly explain and correct the errors of various established religious beliefs. Without delving too deeply into the specifics of modern Gnostic Illuminati, i.e., Akousmatikoi, teachings, a central set of concepts still involves the primacy of mathematics and numbers, just as in the time of Pythagoras. Due to the undeniable success of science and its dependence upon mathematics, such assertions can be made to seem incontrovertible, and in a very real sense some of these assertions actually are true, due to the mathematical nature of the world itself. It should be noted, however, that the Gnostic Illuminati typically spreads the idea that the mathematical nature of the world is due to the mystical idea that everything is made of numbers. The Scio-Illuminati, on the other hand, recognizes the validity of the axiom of metaphysical logic, from psionics philosophy, which states that existence is logical, or non-contradictory. Stated differently, a thing cannot exist and be logically inconsistent with its own existence. Every entity which exists must be logically consistent with its own existence. This is true not only for all of the individual things which exist within reality, but also for reality as a whole. A further mathematical mysticism taught by the Gnostic Illuminati is in claims that somehow mathematics proves such things as the existence of the soul or other mystical entities. Of course, the claimed mathematical proofs are never given at all, or if any so-called proofs are presented, they lack anything even approaching the rigor of a true mathematical proof. Instead, there are merely descriptions of mathematical concepts, and various false assertions that somehow these concepts prove the existence of mystical, spiritual, or other such phenomena. Because mystics often have confusion and misunderstanding regarding scientific concepts, it has proven effective for the Gnostic Illuminati to alternate between recognitions of the power and success of science, on the one hand, and disparagement of the underlying philosophy and methodology of science on the other. This emotionally resonates with the mystic, who cannot avoid seeing the obvious benefits which scientific understanding has brought to humanity, while also feeling alienated from science and its rigidly rational, reality-based approach. The Gnostic Illuminati often claims that science cannot deal with certain aspects of mathematical reality such as zero, infinity, negative and imaginary numbers, and that therefore there will always be aspects of reality forever outside of scientific investigation and understanding, among which are such supposedly mathematically provable things as the existence and immortality of the soul, and the soul's progress over time from an essentially unconscious entity to a godlike entity. They also claim that the God concept, as commonly held, is mistaken, in that God is none other than a soul which has already attained godlike perfection and power. They further claim that such perfection and power is ultimately attainable by all souls. Thank you for watching. Please help spread our message by liking and sharing this video, and by subscribing to our channel. Please also visit and register on our website, Scio-Illuminati.com. Support our revolution, and join us in the growing light of knowledge and liberty.